Hello, welcome to COS Indiana Live. There's never been a more important time in our history than now if you believe it's time to stand up and be free. Stay tuned and come back every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, present the need for self-governance. Our COS Indiana vision statement is to build a grassroots community of Hoosier citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. So, take it away, Dale.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Maringo Mike, for that introduction. My name is Dale Parrish. I am the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana, and I want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening. We've got another great broadcast lined up for you tonight, and with that in mind, let's go through briefly the different segments that we'll be bringing to you tonight in our broadcast. The first segment is always our discussion segment. Now, sometimes we will in fact be discussing a topic. We'll bring in maybe a panel to talk about a particular issue or topic. Other times we'll have a guest in to interview, and I try my best to bring you individuals in leadership positions here in Indiana, in Convention of States in Indiana. Now, once in a while, we'll bring in maybe some national individuals from Convention of States, or even a legislator. And I would like very much to bring in more legislators as time goes on, and we'll be working to that end. To try and make that happen. Tonight we have a guest, and this individual is Chad Mikel. Chad is one of our new district captains. He's still in training, and he's going to be the district captain for House District 38. So we'll bring Chad on here very shortly and get to know him a little bit better. All right. After that segment, then I'm going to get into what I call the information segment. I'll be bringing up my PowerPoint and be giving you information on specifically Convention of States here in Indiana, some general information, and we'll also talk about some numbers on how we're doing in the state and how we're progressing and making the good progress that we are. Then we'll touch on what we call the Convention of States basics. These are the three tenets that our program is built upon, and we'll briefly touch upon those. Then I want to, as always, try to recognize viewers that have tuned in this evening. If you are a viewer and you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please do so in the chat area. Please make it brief, but you're welcome to do that. And then we'll wrap things up and close out the broadcast. And this is what I'm calling now the invitation section, or the invitation segment. So we'll wrap things up and let you know what's going to happen on our next broadcast and close out things for the evening. So, as I said in our first segment, we have with us tonight, we have a new district captain, and his name is Chad Mikel. And Chad, I'm going to bring you into the screen right now. Hopefully, there he is. Hi, Chad.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, glad to have you this evening, Chad. Chad, you're now. We have a real cool picture here that I want to bring up, and hopefully everybody can see, because we want to show. There it is. We want to show everybody you're the district captain in House District 38. We're all in Indiana, well, in every state actually, we're organized around House districts. So there are 100 districts here in the state of Indiana, and Chad is the district captain for District 38. Now, Chad, kind of identify some of the cities involved in your district.
Well, I have not lived in Indiana all that long, but I do live just outside of Kokomo. I was kind of interested to see that the district, when I looked at this map, the district crossed Howard County as well as portions of Cass, Carroll, and Clinton counties. I believe that Franklin is somewhere down in Clinton County. Kind of on the spot about my geography. I don't know the state all that well. But
all right.
But I was kind of surprised, I guess, to find that District 38 was even a little larger than I thought it was.
Yeah, you're right in the middle. You kind of cover some geography, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm over where the red X is on the southwest side of Kokomo.
Kokomo. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let me bring that back and then bring you in. Okay. Well, one of the things that we always ask any guest, any Convention of States leadership individual, we always ask them to tell us their story, their Convention of States story. How, when, where you found Convention of States. So why don't you tell us your story, Chad?
All right. Well, I had never heard of the organization before a little over a year ago, I guess. And listening to podcasts of some Constitution-loving and I believe patriotic hosts. I know Convention of States actually had an ad read. Specifically, I think I first heard it on Ben Shapiro's podcast off of the Daily Wire site. And the brief nutshell text that was part of the ad read was, the government seems like it's beyond control. Here's what you can do to help rein it in. So I was happy to go check it out. After hearing, I don't know, a few times, I thought, well, let me go take a look at this. And I went to the website, read some of the documentation on the website, and said, I will put my name on that petition. And and then I think they also ask as you go through that, are you willing to volunteer? And I said, why not? And check the box or boxes as appropriate. In the short time that I've been a petition signer, I think I did go staff a table at a gun show sometime in, was it October, I think. Larry Hudson invited me to take a time slot at a table at the gun show in Kokomo.
I had forgotten about that. That's right. You did do that, didn't you?
And so I jumped into that, and then it was fairly shortly thereafter that I think George contacted me about, would you like to be a district captain? So apparently I must have messed up enough they didn't want me on gun show tables anymore and moved me out of sight. So I think Convention of States, it was pretty obvious what the need was. I mean, I voted after I turned 18. The first election I voted in was 1992. And in 1992, the world seemed pretty sane for most of us, right? The Berlin Wall had fallen, communism was dead. We were coming off of the Reagan-Bush era of unequal prosperity, and that just kind of continued. Some national emergency back here almost 20 years ago, and so forth. And we saw the spending start to balloon at the federal level. But it's easy to kind of ignore that because, doggone it, those terrorists are after us and we got to do whatever it takes to stop them, right? And so as we went along, we saw under our 44th president, the debt doubled, I believe, from what it was when he took office. And it's just become very obvious to me that we need a Convention of States, to rein in federal spending and put put limits on powers that the federal government was never supposed to exercise, things that are explicitly not anywhere in the Constitution, but they go ahead and take power and govern them. So it was an easy thing to get behind. Um, I I tell people nowadays, because I pitch the Convention of States to friends and family and coworkers, and I tell them, if you tell me something you don't like about Washington D.C., I'll give you a reason to put your name on the petition and support Convention of States. So if you don't like the president and you don't think that the president should have certain powers, what was just this week? Just this week, there was some resolution about the Congress wanted a resolution to prevent the president from nuking hurricanes, which took me back a couple of years worth of news cycles and so forth. And so it's like, if you don't like the president, then rein in federal power, support the Convention of States. If you don't like what the Congress has done and, the impeachment and so forth, then support the Convention of States and help to rein in federal power. You tell me what you don't like and I'll give you a reason
There you
to
go.
get into it. So, that was the fiscal thing, I think, more than anything else, made me aware of the need. But unfortunately, generally thinking you take money out of people's hands, you prevent them from doing things. But when it comes to our government, that's not true. They just go get money from somewhere else and promise that me or my children or my grandchildren or somebody down the road will pay for it.
Right, right.
So the Convention of State story is recognizing the need and jumping on board.
Okay, good, good. Well, Chad, tell us, you're still a young man. Where do you work?
I guess I might be relatively young compared to a lot of the people that I know are more active in COS. I work for FCA US LLC, formerly known as Chrysler Group LLC, formerly known as Chrysler LLC, formerly known as Daimler Chrysler AG, formerly known as Chrysler Corporation, which is what it was when I started there in 1995. So this August it'll be 25 years for me.
Wow, you've been there that long. That's great.
Yeah, I was fortunate to get hired right out of college and start at 21 years of age as an engineer. So that's my profession. My training is I'm a mechanical engineer, and specifically I'm an automatic transmission engineer. I don't need to hear everybody's transmission horror story, but for the last 25 years, I've been involved in various aspects of design or development or manufacturing of automatic transmissions that Chrysler uses in their vehicles. So I came to Indiana in 2013 to take a job at one of our facilities in Kokomo. We do have.
Where did you come from, Chad?
I lived in Rochester Hills, Michigan, which is a northern suburb of Detroit. And I worked at the Chrysler Tech Center, which is where their headquarters is in Auburn Hills, Michigan. So I came to Kokomo and have been here ever since. It's actually my second time. I did spend 2 years back in 2003 down here in Kokomo, and then went back to Michigan. So I've actually.
Oh, really?
I was born and raised there. I went to school in Florida, went back to Michigan, came to Indiana, went back to Michigan, and came to Indiana. But my parents are actually both from northern Indiana.
Okay.
So I'm a generation removed.
Before I lose this, I want to show you a comment that someone made, and it says, "Welcome, Chad." Can you see that?
Yeah, I do see the comments over on the sidebar.
Okay. Do you see the picture of the person that made that comment?
Yes.
Okay, that's Melba Kaiser. That's she goes by her actual name is Lydia Gonzalez, and she says, "Welcome, Chad." So I just wanted to show that to you. So she's watching you this evening.
Yes, I see similar greetings from Jerry Rowe and Jerry Kinsey.
Yes. There are some others.
So
Jerry, you know Jerry Kinsey?
No, I've met very few COS people directly.
All right, all right. Well, the reason I wanted to show Chad that comment from Lydia or Melba is that she is one of his mentors in the training program. So she's helping him get through the training program. So I wanted you to see that while you were on camera here. So very quickly, Chad, very quickly, we'll wrap it up here. I know you got some goals and some objectives for your district. Very quickly, you want to touch on those before we wrap it up?
So I think as a district captain, one of the things that I want to be able to do is um, communicate with the various petition signers and volunteers that are in the area. I mean, we're always looking to add support to COS, but as a past state, maybe the signatures aren't as important, other than the way to get people in, into the organization and join the grassroots effort. But I haven't really figured out a frequency, but I'd like to communicate with the group on a somewhat regular basis with just some convention of states oriented thoughts and viewpoints about things that we're all following in the news and so forth. Rather than a personal soapbox, just really like what does this mean from the standpoint of big government, limiting government power, and so forth. And then I also want to work with the elected officials, my state representative and state senator, to communicate to them the 34 Ready plan and the need for Indiana to get those ducks in a row and hopefully get them on board with supporting the efforts to get the congressional work done to make sure we know how we're going to select commissioners and all of those things. So when we do hit the magic number, we're ready to go.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Chad, best of luck to you. And
thank you.
Want to welcome you on board with Convention of States here in Indiana. I think you're going to be a good district captain. You certainly got some good objectives in mind. So thank you very much for joining us this evening, Chad. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Chad Mikel, one of our new district captains. I hope to have more. We've got a good group of new district captains that are in their training process here in the state. We've talked about our training program here in our state, and we want to do another broadcast on our training program. But we've got a program that we expect new district captains to get through in about 8 weeks, and it introduces them to a lot of the different tools that we use and concepts and so forth. It's very involved. So Chad's going through that right now, and like I said, we've got a really good group that are involved in going through that training program. So with that said, now I want to get into the Indiana information section here. So let me bring up my PowerPoint and get that lined up to go here. Let me make sure that I'm, okay. And I'm going, in order for everyone to get a good view, I'm going to implement the slideshow option. So this will occupy the whole screen and you can easily see it. Okay, great. Okay, let's get going. I want to focus now on the state of Indiana, what we're doing here in the state. Now, Maringo Mike mentioned this in the introduction, but I want to say it one more time. Our Indiana vision statement for Convention of States in Indiana here is, our vision is to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. Now, you're going to hear more and more. We're going to talk more and more about self-governance. It's very integral part of our program, self-governance. So we here in Indiana were very, very much dedicated to this constitutional concept of self-governance. Now, we have a couple specific objectives that we're trying to achieve here in Indiana. We call them mission statement objectives. And there are two general objectives. First of all, the first one is to meet and communicate and talk, and as you remember, Chad talked about communications, meeting with all assigned and targeted legislators. Now, of course, in Indiana, we have 100 districts, 100 representatives. We have 50 Senate districts, or 50 state senators. So each district captain, each district captain is assigned his or her state representative and state senator, and so it's their job to meet with those legislators and be the voice of Convention of States for those legislators. Now, we know, of course, those legislators that support us, and we also know the legislators that don't support us, and then there's a group of legislators that we don't know whether they support us or not. They may just be new legislators. These are the targeted legislators, and so we try to reach out to them and educate them on Convention of States and hopefully garner their support for our movement. So, establishing relationships with these state legislators, that's one of our main objectives. Second objective is to grow the grassroots. And I'm going to be giving you some numbers here just in a minute or so. But we're striving in 2020 to hit the 52,000 supporter level here in Indiana. And more on that in just a minute or two here. But that's the other objective, growing the grassroots. Now, resources that we have available to us here in Indiana. The main resource is our national website, conventionofstates.com. Now, you're going to hear us make reference to this website from time to time in different areas, but that's a main resource for us. Now, embedded in that national website is our state website page, which, of course, would be more focused on the state of Indiana. Social media platforms, Facebook is our main one, our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. This broadcast is coming to you through that Facebook page tonight. YouTube channel, COS Indiana, very much an educational resource. Narrated PowerPoints. We have recordings of our broadcasts. We have links to a podcast that our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, does, the Free to Be Free podcast. Excellent podcast, I might say. So we have a link. We have links to each of his podcasts on our YouTube channel. Also, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other platforms too. So if you're into social media, you should not have any problem finding Convention of States of Indiana. Some numbers now for the state of Indiana. 2019, we surpassed 41,000 supporters here in the state. Been growing at a tremendous rate in our state over the past few years. Our goal for 2020, 52,000 supporters, and we are well on track to achieving that goal. Now, of the people involved here in the state of Indiana, we have about 30 individuals. These are leadership positions now. We have about 30 individuals that are either in a district captain or a region captain role. We have about 15 people in other support type positions. We have about 35 in what we classify as other positions, and about 3,000 volunteers, people that have indicated a willingness to help if necessary. So that pretty much forms our leadership group here, and of course mainly the 80 or so there people in specific leadership roles. So, folks, this is your chance to get involved if you want to get involved with Convention of States here in Indiana. Go to this national website, conventionofstates.com. Certainly open an account, and that makes you then a supporter, and that's very important. Now, if you would like to get more involved in Convention of States here in Indiana, click on the menu selection, Take Action, scroll down to where it says Become a Leader, look at the different volunteer positions that we have available, and open it up, read about them. I would encourage you and stress to you to look closely at the estimated time that these positions require. I know everyone has a different set of priorities, and some people have very little time to devote. Others maybe should and have more time. So some of these positions require little, some of them require more time. So be sure you look at that time requirement. But most of all, we would love to have you get involved. Now, if you find a position that you really are interested in, go ahead and read more about it and make application. You're not obligated in any way, but what that does is your name then comes up on a report that we see daily, and someone then will be in contact with you to talk to you further about that. Okay, Convention of States basics. I'm not going to go into details on the basics, but there are three tenets: the problem, the solution, and the plan. And I would ask that you once again go to this national website, conventionofstates.com. Click on the menu selection, Resources, and there you can find all the information you want on what we refer to here as the Convention of States basics. The problem, the solution, and the plan. And obviously, we have identified problems in our federal government. The solution is a Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution that would address the problems. And then we talk about the plan that we have in place to make this happen. So again, our national website is the place to go for you to learn more about what we call the Convention of States basics. Okay, let me get back to identifying some viewers that we have this evening. And here's Jerry Rowe. Jerry is saying hi to everyone. Jerry's one of our state systems information analysts here in part of our organization. So glad to see you tonight, Jerry. Jerry Hawkins, not sure I know this young man, but Jerry, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And Jerry says we need term limits now. That's excellent. That is one of our objectives is term limits. That's right. Okay. And let's see. Jerry Kinsey. I'm not sure Jerry there, but Jerry just says hi. Thank you, Jerry, for tuning in tonight. Appreciate you coming on board, bud. Very good. Okay, Jerry must be, he says Crown Point here. Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Okay, I see Jerry make a few more. Okay. All right. Lydia, I wanted to get her another one in here. She says this was in reference to Chad, that she met him at the state capitol, probably on one of our legislator days that we spent at the state capitol. So thank you, Lydia, for that comment. All right. Well, let's. Those are the viewer comments that we have this evening and suggestions. I want to now get into the wrap-up part of our broadcast and bring up picture that I always like to use when we wrap things up. First of all, let me tell you about our broadcast coming up next Monday, which will be June 22nd, 7 p.m. And we're going to bring on another one of our new district captains, still in training, young lady by the name of Mary Kloss. And looking forward to talking with Mary and let you hear her story and how she's doing as a new district captain in training. So looking forward to that interview next Monday evening. I want to wrap things up with one of our a quote from our president, Mark Meckler, and he has always said that, you know, there's a fundamental question facing us here in our country today. And the question is not what we should do. The question is who will decide. And, you know, I think this is becoming more and more of an issue every day in our country right now. Who will decide? And this all ties in to the concept of self-governance. We strongly believe that here in Convention of States. And when people get involved in self-governance, then we, the people, are in fact involved in making decisions. And we see the impact when decisions are not made locally and individuals locally are not being taken into consideration. So this is you see this every day in what's happening in our country today. So it's very, very simple. It is a two-word question, very simply: who decides? And of course, we here in Convention of States, in the along the line of self-governance, we believe it's we the people should have a greater say-so in these decisions. So with that said, I'm going to sign off for you this evening. Please, again, put us on your calendar for next Monday evening at 7 p.m. and join us for another evening with Convention of States, Indiana Live. Good night, everyone.